Being yourself has to do with unlocking all of the barriers that keep you from your own heart. It has nothing to do with anybody's perception of who you are, or what you look like, or what you're doing or not doing. When you're here with yourself completely, there's nothing in between you and God. Being yourself means being in total intimacy with yourself. It means being in total intimacy with God. And then whatever happens with the body will happen with the body. Whatever happens with the clothing, whatever happens with your lifestyle, that'll shift. It'll be what it is. But that's secondary. That's not of primary importance. What is actually relevant to you being here and free and content and in self-awareness, knowing that you are inseparable from God, is in releasing yourself from the feeling of obligation to perform any kind of role by the standards of anybody looking from the outside in. And that means to free yourself inwardly from all the conditioning of those who have placed that into your nervous system. And so that means that you actually finally see that you have no family, you have no mother, no father, you have no brothers or sisters, you have no cousins, no uncles, no aunts, you have no friends, you have no enemies. There is no God or devil above you or below you. There's absolutely nothing outside of you. Nothing, 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 nothing at all. Nothing. There is a world full of human beings, really full of human bodies. And all being is made of this one consciousness. And as the human being, as the human body, this brain, heart, and gut structure has the capacity to either be totally aware of the infinite being that is all that is, including the body, or else it has the ability to lock into some closed circuit structure called the psyche and live as that kind of a distorted being. And that distorted being is passed along like a virus from one to another, from generation to generation. And we end up calling that tradition, religion, culture, art, science, philosophy, psychology, which is all contrivance of the mind. Because true science, true religion, spirituality, and true art are one and the same. And it's the exact same thing as what it is to be a human being. So when those things are split up and contrived, they're just pathways to self-destruction, and they're used in the hands of ignorance. So every single thing that is born of the mind, which is just the mind, is either being held in the hands of love consciously, and therefore everything is used as a tool in service of love, which is in service of all that is, or else the intellect, the mind, thought, is being held by its own mechanical ignorance, and therefore it can only spin out psychotically, sadomasochistically, destroying everything. And it's not a force of true consciousness. That's why we call it unconsciousness. But even when you see through the illusion of unconsciousness, unconsciousness itself is seen to be held in the lap of consciousness. So you can either be here consciously with consciousness, or you can be here unconsciously with consciousness. That's the choice of the human being. So it's totally up to you. And if you're here in consciousness, you're not bothered by what anybody else is saying or doing. You're not bothered by anybody else's fucking. You're not bothered by anybody else's clothing. You're not bothered by anybody else's words or language or labels, because every single person on the way to conscious awareness of themselves has gone through many labels and many clothes and many instruments, many items, or many cultures, many traditions, many whatever it is. Everybody's journey back to themselves is replete with whatever name and form structures that are experienced. But finally you come down to the very physical observation of the nature of all name and form structure, which is just the mind. You come into direct awareness of the mind and what the mind is, the very physics of the mind, revealing that you don't need theology, psychology, or philosophy. You only need to observe directly the physics of the mind, which is thought, which is memory, which is division, which is time, which is history, which is story. So if there's no memory, if there's no thought, there's no story. And without a story, you have no idea who or what you are as an object-subject, or as a subject-object. It's the same thing. So if you sit here and say, here's my gender, and here's my race, and here's my religion, that's all born of memory. That's all born of story, of thought. If there's no memory, if there's no thought, which means there's no comparison, there's no sense of individual identity. So that's a secondhand contrivance. And if you see that, you'll either get scared and grab your identities and run around, double down in some way, or you'll try to destroy the mouth the source of what is pointing out this to you, or else you'll see that it's ridiculous to keep pretending to yourself to be something you're not, because it only leads to suffering and misery for you and everybody, and then you drop it. And when you simply drop it, which you do out of necessity, you see you have no choice, then you find yourself choicelessly sitting in this open, eternal, vast expanse of your own being, which has no beginning or end, and you know it to be God. Perfect, pure intelligence, pure love, absolute. And it's the destiny of all beings to come back here. So I can look you in the eye and say, I know who you are and I know what you want. Because I know who everybody is and I know what everybody wants. The ego only wants one thing, and that's self-destruction, and consciousness only wants one thing, and that's itself. Ego wants to bring itself to an end, and consciousness only wants absolutely what is, which is its own self. And so everybody wants to return home to them true selves, to their true selves. Everybody wants to return home to the truth of who and what they really are. Everybody wants to be who and what they really are deeply, no holds barred. You want to be unconditionally free. Everybody wants to be unconditionally free, because that's the nature of your being. You want your own self. It's the ego that uses objects, which are products of memory, to chase as phantoms and ghosts around an invisible track in order to continue avoiding what it wants, what it is actually unconsciously seeking, which is its own death, its own end. So all suicide is conscious and unconscious, you know? The ego will always arrive at its mechanically predetermined destination, whether consciously or unconsciously. You will always arrive at your destiny, whether it's consciously done or unconsciously done. Always. 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 You can't miss. You don't miss. Because you are that. You are the supreme source of everything. You are the supreme reality, and that never misses. God never misses. So everything and everybody is perfect just the way they are. And that's not for the mind to contrive and create false categories and say, well, God made these categories, therefore you should fit into these categories. God made no categories. The mind makes categories. God is beyond category and creates no category. It's the mind that artificially creates category, and then in the creation of that category is fear. And that very fear then attempts to keep the categories going. But that's not a sustainable motion. The only perpetual motion is motionlessness, which is consciousness itself. The mind must be pushed. The mind must be artificially prolonged. And so if you simply sit here without any effort, without any attempt to prop or hold anything up, the mind collapses. And there's nothing left but this pure raw being, which is all at once. And so you can't even divide it into masculine or feminine. You can't divide anything. The minute you try to divide feminine from masculine, you create two distorted things which are at war with each other. The whole thing is the whole thing all at once. It always was, it always will be. So if you're mad at anybody, be mad at yourself. And don't even be mad at yourself. That's stupid. That's a waste of energy. You are free. Be free. That doesn't mean, sure, if you want to go run and face plant into a fucking field or a hill or something, go ahead, you know? If you want to go jump off a cliff, I think that's kind of dumb. Unless you have a parachute, then that might be kind of fun. But you're free. You're free to exit stage left, or you're free to keep living. You're free. And the minute you realize that you are free to go if you want to, then you also see, oh, you're free to actually be free of all constraints. And yet, here you are, existing. And existing, you will simply sit here for a while and go, this feels really nice. And then suddenly you'll get up because you have to take a piss. And then you'll see some wonderful face and you'll go, hey, how are you? And then you'll start talking. And then you'll go, oh yeah, I'm going to go do this, or I'm going to go do that, or I'm going to go here, going to go there, going to see this person, going to see that person. And as long as you're here, you love, because you are love. Whether you're in a body or not in a body, it doesn't make a difference. You're love, with or without the body. And whether or not the body has all of its limbs or not, whether the body has long hair, short hair, or a long beard, or no beard, or dyed hair, or natural hair, or tattoos, piercings, no tattoos, no piercings, tikas on the face, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you look or how you don't look, which is just how you look, because you always look like something. And so it doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter your eye color, your skin color, your weight, your height, your size. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. That does not matter in terms of God. It doesn't matter in terms of consciousness. Consciousness is consciousness. It's all-pervading and all-embracing. And so the human mind, which would like to, especially in certain high spiritual states, which really aren't high, it likes to isolate itself and go, I am this detached being looking out at the world, and all these unenlightened people, they just don't get it, and I get it, and they disgust me. It's like, okay, grow the fuck up. Then that's a valid stage in the journey, but it's not the ultimate. The ultimate is when you're finally here in life without any differentiation. And then you can be free. You're free to actually interact with people. You're not hating people and judging people for not being awake, because one time you were not awake. And if you were not awake, and the teachers came along and judged you as being unworthy because you weren't awake, then you never would have woken up. And so the gift of awakening comes from God. It's grace. And by the same grace that you were called out of darkness, out of the ignorance of your own self-identification with the body-mind, for you to not turn around and offer that same grace to the world is fucking hypocritical and pathetic. So we're called to love. Jesus didn't fucking wake up. The Buddha didn't wake up. Krishna may have always been awake, but these great beings who maybe always were awake, they didn't wake up, so to speak, come into the realization of their consciousness, and then go hide in a fucking cave and say, fuck the world. They walked right into the middle of the goddamn dumpster fire, and they said, I fucking love you. No conditions. I love you. Now get up and stop hurting yourselves. Get up and stop being ignorant about who you are. Get up and know yourself to be this love. That's what they did. That's the example that all the great ones have left us. Even the great ones who have spent many, many decades in a cave because they needed to, they eventually either die in that fucking cave and you never hear from them again, or else they walk out of the fucking cave and they live their life in service of people, not judging them, but loving and embracing them. Especially the people who the religious institutions would like to scapegoat and reject. Those are the people who the true teachers and masters are around the most. Do you understand what I'm saying? Good. I know you do. And if you pretend not to, oh yes you do. I don't accept ignorance as an excuse because ignorance is an illusion. You're not ignorant. You pretend to be, so that you can uphold images of family, of friend, of nation, of religion, of a sense of your moral superiority because you have some value system that you can trace back to the people of da-da-da-da-da in 50,000 BC and blah, blah, blah. Fucking bullshit assholery is what it is. The true awareness of being is timeless and eternal. So anyone who says, my religion's 2,000 years old, yeah, my being is older than the fucking cosmos. Being is older than everything. It is timeless. So there's no amount of pride you can have in how old your religion is, or how old your culture is, or how old your books are, that will ever substitute the living reality of being one with God, which is your own being. So be what you are, which is your oneness with God. Your whole being is eternal union with the divine. And that is everybody's birthright to know. Every single body's birthright is to know this. And it's your responsibility to know it. And when you know it, you absolutely have a responsibility to share it in every single way. Not to be a coward and go hide on the sidelines, or to say, oh, well, I don't really want this responsibility. Well, too damn bad. You have it. You have a responsibility to breathe. If you don't breathe, what happens? Okay? You're responsible. And if you don't want to be responsible, then get the fuck off YouTube. The amount of people I've seen on here who want to be little spiritual gurus and call themselves babas and whatever the fuck else it is, but who say that they don't want the responsibility, then why the fuck do you want the title? You want people to call you shaman? You want people to call you guru? You want people to call you teacher? You want people to call you baba? You want people to call you swami or mullah or whatever the fuck? You want the title, you want the image, but you don't want the fucking responsibility because you're a goddamn coward, sheepish piece of shit. And you need to grow the fuck up. For God's sake, for everybody's sake, for love's sake. And those are temporary places that you pass through, and I understand that. But those people have a certain kind of jadedness, which is why I have to speak that way to them. And if that's you, I'm talking to you. Grow up. Get out of that shit. Please. For your own sake and for everybody's sake. Stop pretending to be above it all when you're not. Because you're not. You're not above anything. If you were above it, you'd be fucking dead. Apparently you're not, because here you are. So stop pretending that you're separate from life, that you're separate from other people. You're not. You're not. Nobody is. We are one people, one family, one world, one consciousness, one heart, one God, one life. And this is it. This is it. We're here. And to deny that is a waste of life. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of everything. It's a waste of everything. It's a waste of everything. So, dress however the fuck you want to dress. Dress however you want to dress. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what anybody says. On the left, on the right, in the center, I don't give a shit what anybody fucking says. Stop dividing people into left, right, center, this, that, or the other. You're either in your fucking ego or you're in consciousness. You're either locked in the closed circuitry of ego consciousness, or else you're here in the open, free expanse of eternal being. And if you are here, I'm telling you, do not be shy, don't be jaded, don't be upset, live your life. Don't feel that you can't live your life. If you've had a beard your whole life and you fucking hate it, cut it the fuck off. I don't give a shit what your culture says. If you're tired of wearing a turban, take it the fuck off your head. If you want to wear a turban, put it on. If you're tired of wearing dresses, stop. If you're tired of wearing pants and suits, stop. But if you're going to say, well, I have to for my job, then you better fucking love it. You better like it. You better be willing to play the part. If you're going to be a clown, then be a willing clown. But if you don't want to be a clown, stop. Whatever role you're playing, either play it to the max with all love and involvement, engagement, truth, compassion, love, integrity, or else stop. Because there's nothing you can do about that cognitive dissonance. No matter what you say or do, no matter what you believe, no matter what kind of philosophy you try to jerry-rig, you cannot philosophize your way out of cognitive distortion and dissonance. It doesn't work. You have to be true. And being true means you have to be true to this. If you want to wear makeup, wear makeup. If you don't, don't. If you want to wear it some days and not others, then do it. If you want dyed hair, natural hair, long hair, short hair, contacts, no contacts, piercings, no piercings, tattoos, no tattoos, do it. But leave everybody else the fuck alone. If you were content with your own being in every way, you wouldn't be bothered by what anybody else is doing with themselves. So, freedom consists in that. And when you're in that, then you move like the wind. You dance, you laugh, you sing, you raise your voice. And when your silence is real, and it's palpable, it's tangible. In fact, it's more powerful than your speech. And that can only happen if your speech is real. And so your speech must be real. I love you.